Peace and blessings, everybody. It's me, my Ken, aka Rogue Spiritual. How y'all doing today, TGIF? And I'm glad that we woke up together to see another day after July 4th. Glory be to Jesus Christ. Okay? Because some people didn't make it to the next day. And you know what? With death comes everlasting life. Now, I wrote something on Instagram on the feed or whatever the case is, and I said, I believe that home ec stopped with Generation X due to politics. Now, courtesy of my program directors or program leaders or whatever, Seline and Diana, it wasn't that far from the truth. There was a lot of politics when it came to home economics and trade school. Okay, so I voted on my notes app and then I translated it to my paper so I can read it or whatever in case I'm missing something. But let me tell you something about home economics that I learned from Seline and Diana. Folks out of home economics was getting offered a lot of good paying positions such as welding, auto shop, and etc. And you know what? My uncles, they know how to cook better than me, and they went to home economics. We'll get to that later. So basically, people out of home economics was getting offered a lot of good paying positions, such as welding, mechanic work, this and that. And it was the same way as trade school or job course, where, you know, there was a band of folks that had to get their act together. You know, I may not be Generation X, but I knew what it was like to have to get my act together, courtesy of night school. Louis E. Brandeis, anybody? Okay. So another note that I wrote that I've gathered from Selena Diana was that a lot of Generation X folks, they knew how to type without looking at the keyboard, and it was due to the teaching system that their teachers had. Like, they had the picture of a typing board and all that on the board, while their computer had no letters, no numbers, and none of that. And I bet you they had a lot of tasks where they had to look at the keyboard or whatever the case is. Seline actually was a student that way, and this is why Seline was able to. Seline and a lot of Generation X heads know how to type without looking at the keyboard. Me, I tried. I could do some, but hey, I could type fast. I could type like 25 words, 30 words per minute, but I would have to. Okay. So now to Job Corps. Job Corps basically is the same, but it's different. It will also get you offered in a lot of positions or whatever the case is. I mean, I knew a classmate of mine that she was fresh out of Job Corps. She over here landing herself a job, this and that. And you know what? To the college girls from the ghetto that's looking for a thug at 35 still, or you should have got it out of your system at 16, 17. Let me tell you something. Just because you are doing 10 years of college or whatever the case is does not make you more of a person doing Job Corps. The difference between Job Corps and your fucking master's degree or whatever the case is that Job Corps would teach classmates like my classmate like Tanasia how to maneuver around the workforce more than you. How long have you been holding that master's degree and you have not even landed a better paying job, or you are still struggling with the workforce to the point that you're behind on rent, to the point that you over here trying to live above your motherfucking means? Get the fuck out of here. And to the niggas like drag on when people say like, oh, my nigga's fresh from the yard while yours is out of Job Corps. Shut the fuck up, okay? There was nothing wrong with Job Corps. Nothing wrong with job. Let me tell you something. Okay, to you gangsters. They ask when you are filling out for a job application, even when you signing a check from all those records you sold, they ask you of your slave name, aka your government name. Not your rap name, not your street alias, none of that whole shit. What's your real name and not your stripper name? Like if I fuck around, I'm over here fucking around, cashing a check or whatever the case is, even with Uber Eats or whatever the case is, they're not gonna ask for Rogue Spiritual. They're gonna ask for Michael Alexander Cantress. And that's at every job that I have, every job that I'm holding right now, every job that I have in the future. Gangsters don't get paychecks. Rappers don't get paychecks unless you put a motherfucking LLC on your motherfucking name and you still got a motherfucking sign by your slave name, nigga. Fuck out of here. They're not gonna ask you for your rap name. Who the fuck is Dragon? Right? Who the fuck is Rogue Spiritual? I don't know that. I know Rogue Spiritual on SoundCloud. But bitch, I know Michael Cantress is picking up a check, bitch. Not no Rogue Spiritual. So don't let hip hop fuck your mind up to the point that you gotta be gangster all the time and gangster will and being gangster will win at your G-star points out of heaven, bitch. Unless you direct that gutter shit to the greater good, that's when you could be gangster for life. But if you over here still doing the same shit, still getting to the bag, even though you're getting to the wrong bag at 45 plus, bitch, get the fuck out of the way. What the fuck are you doing? Grow up and have some fucking kids already and get a job. Calling on the cob, you always trying to rob. You need to go out there and get yourself a job. Yeah, Roxanne Shante voice, okay? Now, this is the last thing. Home economics was so much of a revolution to the point that the government infiltrated that shit, okay? It led to removing black and brown men out of the household. I mean, it watered down a lot of positions that you would have learned in high school, trade school, home ec, all that. Now that you got to go to college for, even a beautician, if anything, or whatever the case. Don't quote me on the beautician part. But yeah, that is crazy. And let's not talk about the silent generation or the greatest generation where their high school was just as lit. You know, our ancestors, our great grandparents, or whatever the case is, learned how to put out fires, and they was part of the fire department, or they learned how to save lives while they was in high school. You know, but you know who will cover that more? Mr. Krim III when it comes to the silent generation and the greatest generation. Oh man, it honestly, this is just like the Black Panthers and hip hop. The government just infiltrated that shit. Okay? The government just infiltrated everything that was a revolution. And you know what? Home ec would have been nice. Home ec would have been nice and it would have been beneficial right now. Because me as a male that was raised Latin, I learned how to cook as an adult. You know, yes, I'm half African American. However, I was not raised as an African American male. And even if my mom happened to be African American, it still would have been the same thing. Now, if you're Latino with me or if you're my Caribbean counterpart, you know the motherfucking vibes. It's so fucking real. Diana said that I'm not even capping. Like in a Latino and a Caribbean culture, your mommy, your grandmammy, your aunt took all the girls into the kitchen and had all of us boys go outside and play. They didn't want us in the kitchen. They never did. Now in a African American household, they definitely taking their sons and daughters into the kitchen. Listen, it's not God's fault. It's not even the devil's fault. It's just society's fault. And that's all I gotta say to that. Thank you. Have a blessed day.